My name is Liz Partsch.
And I am Paul Rowley.
And welcome to Farm and Dairy's Weekly Rundown.
And we will be giving you a weekly rundown. A rundown of the week's latest stories and news.
Okay, Britney Spears over there.
Yeah. Here's the chorus. Yeah.
Whistle tones over there.
If I could do a whistle tone, I would have done one. If I could do a whistle tone, I would use that whistle tone and sing myself into stardom and fame.
Same, Paul.
Alas, I cannot. I was not blessed with powers that allow me to produce that tone. I can only write about fires and
death
horrific
death stories,
horrifying things. Yeah.
So, speaking of which, seems you should kick us off then.
Well, if you insist.
The topic.
I did, yes. Okay. Well, I'll take you guys there.
Man, it's funny that we're like, it's wild that we're laughing about it. It's coping mechanism, guys.
It really is.
We're not actually laughing about the deaths.
Yes.
It's actually just like...
Mm-hmm. Yes,
oh,
coping mechanism. That is what we are doing here.
Yeah.
And I'll explain why.
Yeah.
So let's set the scene. So I'm literally going to set the scene for you. Central Township's Joint Fire District Chief Brian Bennington. Okay. He's driving down State Route 56 in Madison County, Ohio. All right. This is late on the morning of February 25th. And he sees in front of him the following: a towering column of black smoke rising above the horizon. And this, let me just emphasize towering, because this is a huge plume of black smoke. This is Fine Oak Farms in Union Township ablaze. By the time the first firefighters arrived, flames were already billowing out of the central hog barn, which is a long white building resembling kind of a warehouse dotted with ventilation fans. I should note that Fine Oak Farms, big hog farm. Thousands of hogs are here. Crews who were already on the scene at this point, when they arrived, or have they arrived already, they had to fall back as they are scrambling to get hose lines set up where they could safely attack this growing conflagration. Okay. From his vantage point, Bennington, who has been chief for the past 18 years, knew that he was going to need more help, and he called it in. In the end, when all was said and done, it takes firefighters from 15 departments hauling in water by tanker to battle this wind-driven inferno that kills 6,000 hogs and wiped out most of the operation. Wow. And he says to me, it was a losing battle from the get-go, but that doesn't mean we don't show up for the fight. Which I was like,
that's our everyday.
Yeah, right. Yeah. As journalists, in America.
Oh, man.
Right. So this is the fortunate part. This is the silver lining in this otherwise very bleak story. No civilians or firefighters were hurt, either due to the fire or in responding to the fire. But everything else about this is pretty much worst case scenario. At the time, 20 to 35 mile an hour wind gusts were pushing the flames on. And these barns in hog farms, some of our listeners might know this, but the barns were pretty modern, and they were designed in a way that was to sort of allow ventilation to move through the facility, because as we know, hogs can get pretty warm, especially in the warmer summer months. They don't sweat. I think as the animal does not sweat. And so ventilation is really key and important to keeping those animals healthy and safe. But also, when these buildings are on fire, that ventilation system actually contributed to the speed that the fire consumed everything in its path. And it let the radiant heat even just race from one building to another. And also, in addition to just the design of the buildings that let the fire become as out of control as it was, underneath these barns, there was actually an underground waste system, I think under most or some of them, that raised concerns about methane and structural collapse. So Chief Bennington did not want to send his firefighters into a building that was completely on fire, where the floor might be weakened, and then all of a sudden you have a unimaginable situation where a firefighter like falls through the floor and is in that space, this space that was supposed to um, collect the manure. And it was part of like the waste treatment that this facility, it was a really advanced facility. And it was part of this treatment system that was just, it was too dangerous. And there's no side doors on these buildings as well. And so there's only one entrance on either end of like the long barn. And so they can't go in either way. It's too dangerous. So it was just a really like difficult time. And then this is the worst detail to me. And I talked about it with Bennington quite a bit, actually, the chief. He said that the crews could hear the hogs screaming inside of the barns, but they really just couldn't do anything about it. They were powerless to extract these poor animals. On top of all of these, this everything. The rural location of the farm meant that there were no hydrants nearby. So every gallon of water that they used to respond to the fire had to be trucked in. There were numerous instances of local farmers jumping in with their own water trucks, and farm staff were available and helpful every step of the way to help firefighters just navigate the property and like identify, for example, like propane tanks, which might also further like throw another wrench into this fire response. And when it was all said and done, 4 of the 5 barns burned down completely. Crews were able to save the one barn that housed about 1,500 pigs, as well as an open storage building. Investigators believe the fire may have started in or near a break room refrigerator. That is kind of like the what they're, according to workers' testimony, from what they think might have started, or where the fire might have started. According to them, they're thinking it's this fridge, possibly. An investigation is underway. That should be done in a couple of weeks. It is considered an accident for now, but just really like a tough, a really just devastating fire. A lot of people have, obviously their lives are upended now, like anyone that worked there. It's just it's a tough story. So heart goes out to all of the people that were impacted by this, and of course for the poor animals as well.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Man, that's rough.
Yeah.
Well, okay. We'll have to sweeten things up a little on the
Please.
pod.
Yes.
And I use the term sweet
Yes.
very heavily
Oh, good.
because, Paul, if you don't know, this is one of the sweetest times of the year,
Mm.
maple syrup season.
Yeah. Okay. This
One
is
of
good.
my favorites,
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm here for maple syrup season.
Yeah.
Mm.
And as you know, and as you might know, what goes well with maple syrup is whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that maple producers Kevin and Morgan Hawley have already proven with their award-winning bourbon barrel-aged maple syrup.
Yum.
The Hawleys run Seldom Seen Farm, a maple operation in Geauga County, Ohio, consisting of roughly 4,000 maple trees. But now they're living up their game by making maple rye whiskey through their new company, Seldom Seen Whiskey Company.
Oh my.
Which is on the front of our paper this week,
Hey,
written
very
by yours
cool.
truly.
Nice.
The Hawleys started this journey in 2020, crafting a business plan and eventually obtaining an Ohio liquor license early last year. Last year was actually also the first year that they started aging their first batch of whiskey. So the whiskey is actually aged for 4 years prior to when it comes to the Hawleys.
Oh, wow.
To the Hawleys. But to get that sweet maple flavors, the Hawleys aged for an additional 8 months in barrels they previously used to age their bourbon barrel-aged maple syrup. So it has that maple flavor. And through that, it just really pulls out that sweet flavor. But that's not all the liquor the Hawleys are brewing. They also make their own maple distillate from low-grade maple syrup, which is a byproduct that is otherwise, just wasted because it's syrup that's like low quality and just doesn't really taste very good.
Yeah.
While this particular liquor isn't for sale yet, the company's first batch of maple rye whiskey will be on sale at their pancake breakfast on March 7th, 8th, 14th, and 15th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Seldom Seen Farm. Yep, and that's in Montville, Ohio, Geauga, which is Geauga County is very known for their maple syrup. So yeah, go make plans. Go to Geauga County these next 2 weekends. You'll get to try not only some really delicious maple products, but you might get a taste of that first batch of whiskey.
Wow.
If you like whiskey.
Mhm.
Maple whiskey, yeah. So
Okay. Yeah.
that is our gracing our cover this week.
Wonderful.
So yeah.
Cool. I'm actually going to propose a poll. I am interested if our viewers and listeners would like to see like a weekly rundown after dark where we sip on this whiskey.
Yes.
like
Yeah.
like an episode where we sample some of these delicious beverages or treats that we've talked about recently, or
Yeah.
like just any of number of these things. Because I think we often come to at least for me, I'm speaking for myself, what we come to the pod and it is like after the day where we are we're putting the paper together, it is going to the press imminently, and I'm hungry.
Yeah, usually hungry. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm usually like on the edge of like irritation when we do this.
Right. Also, I could use a drink.
Well, I will say if we involved
An adult
alcohol in this
beverage.
podcast, it would be dangerous.
Right.
I don't know
Perhaps.
what would my mouth would be. It would things would come out of my mouth that
Unfiltered.
probably shouldn't be
Right.
coming out of my mouth.
But this would why it would be weekly rundown after dark, like something of that. So anyway, let us
Premium
know.
subscribers could only get this one.
Right.
Yeah.
Let us know if you want to see that, and then we can take it to our boss.
Yeah.
if there's enough interest, then maybe we can make a case. So that's it.
Clearly, we just want an excuse to drink whiskey.
More or
on
less.
TV, I
More or
guess.
less. But there's a purpose. There's a method to the madness.
So,
All
right. Yeah, well, Paul, what do you got for us now?
I have something very exciting, actually. So I don't know about you, but let me just take you back to, I would guess that this is maybe the year 2000. Okay. So, start of the new millennium. And in my, elementary school where I became, where just little Paul was being educated, I learned numerous things. I learned how the Dewey Decimal System works. That is aging myself dramatically, but I truly did. I was one of the last, I think, before that entire like module or whatever, where we like learned how to use the card catalog and all of that, and the filing system was completely dismissed and tossed away, because we then got a computer in our school library, which did all of the cataloging, and we didn't need to, like, everything we learned was already obsolete. So anyway, in this library, there was a book, and it's part of a series of books, and it's called the Eyewitness books. And they're like kind of skinny, but they're picture books, and they cover just a myriad of different things. So like the pyramids, I think, of Giza,
Yeah, I think
like
I've heard of those. But
all the
I know
things.
what you're talking
My favorite one, and I wish I had it. Like my elementary school was eventually torn down, and I think they like auctioned off all of the contents of the library, and like they built a new school and got all new books and stuff. But anyway, I wish I had this book, because it would be so funny to find the card in the front of the book, like that, where you see like who checked it out. Because in the Titanic book, the Eyewitness Titanic book, I was, for at least a couple of years, it was my name written down, like on repeatedly, just down every card, but just had my name on it, because it was me like checking this book out exclusively. So this is my preface, because I had to set why I'm writing what I'm about to talk about. So picture this: we're 70 feet down on the dark, cold bottom of Lake Erie. We're not in the Atlantic Ocean; we are in Lake Erie. Where the nameless wreck of a 3-masted ship juts out of the sediment where she's rested for more than a century, a hulk of rust, algae, and mussel-encrusted wood, half swallowed by sand, straining upward like a hand reaching from a shallow grave.
That was a really good. Yeah, that was good.
So, thank you. She lies in the same spot where she crashed down after losing the fight of her life against gale force winds and towering waves. What am I talking about? I'm talking about a shipwreck, y'all. Her remains were first spotted in 2022 in a side-scan sonar image captured by the organization known as Cleveland Underwater Explorers, or CLUE. But no one knew her story until now. On February 18th, the National Museum of the Great Lakes, working with CLUE, announced that they had finally definitively put a name to this unidentified Jane Boat, like Jane Doe, of the lake. She is the Clow. It is spelled Clough, but it's pronounced like Clow, Clow. She was a 125-foot long stone hauling workhorse. On September 15th, 1868, when the Clow was caught in a brutal storm, she ended up sinking and claimed 8 lives when she went down, which is very tragic. As she was battered by waves, she was carrying massive stone blocks on her deck. Some were estimated by one of the members of Clue and divers at being like 12 feet long and weighing as much as potentially 20 to 30 tons apiece. These are massive, massive stones. And they suddenly shifted on her deck to one side, which fatally threw off her center of gravity. For about a half hour, her crew valiantly fought to right the vessel, but she never recovered. The ship floundered before slipping beneath the waves, and all but one man were lost. Okay. For a little bit more on the history, you actually have to read the story because I do cover that a little bit. I actually, again, just got to talk to one of the divers who have seen the wreck up close and talk about the process of identifying it, and how much work that involved. And also, this process of, I mean, not just diving, you can't just go to a shipwreck that's been on the bottom of Lake Erie or elsewhere or anywhere for like some, long amount of time and say, well, this is the blah, blah, blah. Like there's so much research involved and there's so much work that has to be done. And you have to physically travel to places that might be keeping records of things that you can cross-reference to like what you have found. And it's this very, very long drawn out process. And their first dive, Clue's first dive to this wreck site, the leader of their organization actually passed away due to a medical emergency that he had while in the water. And so it's been quite an ordeal for them to they had to figure out in the wake of that tragedy, do we carry on the organization at all? What do we do next? And they stuck it out and went through the motions while mourning their leader, and then identified finally this ship, and now we know more about it. And so anyway, there's a lot to unpack. This story is on the cover of your auction guide this week, so check it out.
Yeah, wow, sounds like a really cool story, Paul.
It was cool. I've literally wanted to write about a shipwreck in Lake Erie forever. Like as you may or may not know, I've written a ton about Lake Erie, about mostly conservation stuff, harmful algal blooms. That's been kind of my grocery stuff. I love all of that. I love wetlands. I love talking about wetland, how it all connects. It's all very, very, very fascinating to me and interesting. But shipwreck was definitely on the bucket list. So I'm glad to. Yeah.
Also, the IC book really makes a lot more sense now about how far ago your obsession with Titanic.
Oh, from antiquity. Yes, literally.
that makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame you. I remember as a kid, it was fascinating, and then you'd watch all those videos on YouTube about under the water and everything.
This was pre-YouTube. I did not have access to the internet. Yeah,
but YouTube probably just made it even better than when YouTube came online. And just the whole world of shipwrecks opened up to you.
Well, there's how much time do we have? I will, and very, 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 very quickly, I am going to tell you again, this is also dating myself. So Titanic comes out in 1997, I think. Mm-hmm. And my parents bought, they got something called web TV. And what it was that you could essentially connect a modem of some kind to your TV, and then you had a keyboard, and you could use your television like a computer, sort of. Mm-hmm. My parents didn't know how Wi-Fi worked until 2015. So this was a gift from our uncle who was getting rid of it. He didn't want it anymore. He was the guy that understood technology. So we had not a computer in the house, but something that could do very casual internet browsing. Of course, after I saw Titanic at my aunt's house, it was on VHS, so 2 tapes. And I watched both tapes at the age of 6 or something like that. Became obsessed, and then ended up finding a fan club for the movie via web TV in my house. And long story short, I became pen pals, a 6-year-old boy and an adult from
what?
somewhere in the world, purportedly Ireland. That's what they told us. That's what he said.
That's where the ship came from. Yeah.
Right, like Belfast or I don't know where anything is, but yeah, so anyway, this person started writing postcards and sending them to my house, and then I had to explain to my parents why a person in Ireland
why
was
like a 40-year-old man
Yeah,
in Ireland
right.
is writing.
And it was like really. I just talked about this because my friends and I did that. Like you put all the candy in the bowl, you like name a trauma, and then you're like, and I brought the Swedish fish, and you throw it in the bowl. And I was talking about this because this person, my parents were aghast. They're horrified. Like, why is our child making an adult friend on the
Web
internet?
TV is the devil.
Right, literally, it was like a whole wake up call for like for my family. And they ended up writing back to this person to tell them to like stop talking to me because they wouldn't cease like sending me postcards to be like, you're just such a sweet, nice little boy. Like, you're so smart. Like, you're just whoever they were.
Did you have any of these saved?
I don't know.
Oh
I should ask my
God.
parents. But like and like trying to defend themselves, they said that they were like paralyzed or something, and then they didn't have any friends.
Oh,
it was
God,
horrible,
the plot
and
thickens.
it really
Holy
did.
crap.
And my parents were like, never write to my kid again. And I still think about them. I'm like, I wonder if that was real, and they really were like paralyzed, and like they just needed a friend. Like, how tragic is this?
I'm not laughing at the paralyzed part.
I know
It's
it's such a crazy story.
That is wild.
And it's like one of my traumas that I shared at the party, just being like, I don't know what happened to this person. I feel really
Paul,
bad
I did
about.
not know this is like your lore
This
with
is my
like
lore.
in Titanic obsession went back.
It's really deep.
That
It's
far,
really
and
deep.
then like that deep.
Yeah, I'm not joking when I talk about it.
This is wild.
So anyway, that's.
Oh my God! Wow, thank you for gracing us.
I had to share. It's if they're out there listening, like, I'm so sorry.
Please write to Paul again.
I know.
Now
yeah.
is of appropriate age to communicate
Yes,
with you.
absolutely.
So.
Find my email on the Farm and Dairy website. So.
Yes. Resume pen pal.
Yeah.
Pen pal min. Oh man! All right, that was funny. Well, I'm gonna bring the mood down significantly. Oh man. Yeah, more bad animal news, Paul. Foot and mouth disease has been found in South Africa and Cyprus. So foot and mouth disease, for people that don't know, is a highly contagious viral infection that induces fever and blisters on the mouth and hooves of cattle, sheep, pigs, and deer.
Oy vey.
Yes. So as of February 27th, the outbreak in South Africa has impacted over 297,000 cattle and resulted in over 120,000 animals being culled as farmers work to contain the spread. Officials are currently working on mass vaccination attempts to kind of control the outbreak, which threatens mass shortages of meat, job losses, and millions of dollars in lost revenue. As countries like China and Zambia are like starting to ban South African meat exports. In Cyprus, plans are underway as well to vaccinate thousands of goats, sheep, hogs, and cows to contain the outbreak that threatens exports of halloumi cheese and will result in the culling of at least 13,000 animals. So far in Cyprus, 11 farms and 4 communities have been impacted by the outbreak, which is taking place in the country's southern coastline. So that information is all from an AP story they're running in the paper this week about the 2 just areas in the world where foot and mouth disease is happening. So yeah, if you want to read more about that, you can find it somewhere in the farm and dairy section of the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty scary stuff.
Yeah, that is. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think I have something heartwarming
Great.
to lead us off with. It's actually a Judy Sutherland column. And I guess according to what she wrote this week, she's actually paying attention to like award shows. We're in award show season right now. And red carpet interviews. But she takes us to uses that. Maybe. I just had the impression that she might be watching since it's happening all the time. But she invites us and takes us to some really emotional territory in considering a question that she hears celebrities asked often that she said always makes her sit up and pay attention. And the question is, what would you tell your younger self? Which is a very poignant question. So she actually writes this week about how she can, what she has considered as her own answer, and how she uses the lens of her 10-year-old self. And she answers that question with the heart and soul of that child. And some of the lessons, I guess, that she has learned and then is gleaning on all of us were very touching. And she says that after all these years, she has figured how we are all too painfully self-conscious when we're younger. And that definitely can relate there. And how it is important to be grateful for how time seems as a child to pass so slowly. I feel that so much because
Mhm.
time is so fast
Yeah. I mean,
now.
it's already March.
It's already March. It's crazy. And like a year of school, it's not even a year. It's, a grade level of school, 8 months or something like that, like in
Mhm.
total. And it felt forever, like until I was in college and like semesters would move very, very fast. Like
Mhm.
I remember that feeling very, very abridged. But like in grade school, it was like so much time being in school. It's took so long to get from one grade to the next grade. And like
Yeah.
it's very strange how it feels that way. Um, she talked about how first heartbreak will often fade away, how hard work builds character, and how passions can shape your life. So embracing them is really good. And how people that you love will all die far too soon. She says to pay more attention. It's really, really good advice for leading a worthwhile and fulfilling life. And obviously, I just boiled it down just to talk about it here. Like it's you should read the column to actually see what she was talking about. And yeah, I would feel very comfortable saying that my 10-year-old self, aside from writing to people on the internet about
Yeah.
Celine Dion, I think was the topic that got us talking. This person and mine. But yeah, my 10-year-old self, I feel like, has called a lot of the shots in my life, honestly, even if I've gotten older, and has been partially responsible for at least some of my life choices. Mostly good,
Yeah.
some not so good, but mostly good. But I would say that we have no regrets. Me and my 10-year-old self, some floating around somewhere in here. Um, yeah. But anyway, it was a very, very uh, really, really beautiful column, and I would recommend that everyone read it in the paper this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm going to end our podcast or video cast, whatever you call it,
Mm.
today with a column from Tammy Gingrich.
Great.
She's back in the paper in our rural marketplace
Oh,
section.
nice.
And she's writing about the American woodcock, well known for its flamboyant sky dance.
Oh, I love it.
So the woodcock emerges in our region as early as late February into March. And if you have a field or new forest, you may just have a front row seat of this incredible sky dance. And that is something that males do to attract females. I wish, we had that in real life. Love that. Anyways, this usually happens around sunset, or she said dusk or dawn.
Mhm.
And viewers will hear like a little.
That was a
spells
good
it like
impression.
Peent.
Okay.
I don't know if that's right, but
I appreciate
yes,
that.
and this gets louder, like that.
Kind of like most men, honestly.
Thank you. As the male bird kind of emits this noise in like every direction, so it's like doing it this way, right? And he'll eventually just take to the sky, flying in a spiral movement like this.
Equal opportunity.
Yeah, up to 300 feet in the air before descending back down in a spiral and that zigzag pattern, all while emitting like these gurgling sounds.
Wow.
So he'll repeat this process just again and again and again. And then when he finally attracts a mate, right after the performance, he will quickly mate. So it's like, and then he then immediately returns to the sky in what Tammy calls his polygamorous performance. So he just keeps doing it and then mating with, like, ultimate, he's really getting it.
Yeah.
It sounds like those American woodcocks.
No kidding.
So yeah, the name. I mean, come on. The American woodcock as many different names, including the timber doodle, the mud
Who's coming
snipe.
up with these names?
I know what's happening. The timber doodle, mud snipe, bog sucker, Labrador twister. Oh my God, I didn't realize it would be this difficult to say these when I was writing this down. Labrador twister and night partridge. So he's a very plump. I love the word plump. It perfectly describes this bird.
Yeah.
He's a very plump bird with a large head, short neck, and stumpy tail. And this is really what I didn't realize. He has 360 vision.
What? Really? Oh my
Wild,
goodness.
right? Like this bird is incredible.
Yeah,
Like
I
I wish I was this bird. But yeah, Tammy Gingrich really dives into more about like the American woodcock, and also some of her like in-person experiences witnessing this dance. In the story in the paper this week,
Wow.
she also included an illustration of the bird, like of this dance the bird does in the paper. I mean, I kind of showed you with my hand, but the illustration really does a good job.
Yeah.
And also we found out too in the office, since we really found this bird to be fascinating, that the bird does like this kind of weird like walk when it dances, and
Yeah.
I'm not, as Rachel said I should do it on the podcast. I am not, because I know like 5 years later,
It will haunt
someone's
you.
gonna try and blackmail me with
Oh,
this like really
no.
embarrassing movement I did on a podcast at Farm and Dairy a few years ago.
It kind of has like if you remember from like SpongeBob when he was doing, I don't remember what the episode was, but I remember and doing it around town and
Yeah.
around town. And he's like, I think he's trying to blow a bubble and he's trying to teach Squidward how to blow a bubble.
Yeah, I know
Because
what you're
Squidward
talking- yeah.
doesn't have fun and doesn't know how to do that. And like the way that he is able to like gyrate his body, but without really moving his head.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's
it's
something like
the
that.
body moves forward, but
Yes.
the head stays still. So it's funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would insert a video of it in the podcast, but
Mhm.
for copyright reasons, won't be able to. And unfortunately, I can't spend all week scouting the woods for an American woodcock
Sad.
to get this video. So you Farm and Dairy readers or
Here's
viewers
your
will just
homework.
have to,
Mhm.
your homework is to just look it up on YouTube.
Yeah. And you'll be
Um,
happy you did.
Yeah, and you will. You won't regret it. It's really cute. So, anyways, that is all we have for you guys today. So,
Thank you for joining us. To read more, of course, visit farmanddairy.com or find your local newsstand.
yeah, thanks for tuning in. We will see you guys next week.
Bye-bye for now.